Good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson, and of course with tonight is the cubby with the mostest, Techy Joe. How are you, darling?
I'm doing well. How are you this evening?
Oh, half evil, ADHD to the max, and like all over the place.
Understandable.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been one of
Yeah.
those days. We hit the gym good. You know, we've been trying to get ready for March and looking at what we done in February. All the fun stuff. But you guys will see that on Sunday and my new planners.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How about you? What you into, Cubby?
Well, we did some continuation and redoing.
Mm-hmm.
If you watched us Sunday.
Yes.
So it was a fun experience having um uh Second Life. House we were moving out of, a house we were having to find choose, buy, find land for. Well, one that's out of order, but anyway, find land and then place and then refurnish while trying to set up the new office.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we had some events occur. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being the first tenant,
Always the pleasures.
always interesting. Because they did something that I had never encountered before, which is they in the process of setting up this tenancy. Um, and this is kind of a Second Life thing. So sorry if you're not a Second Lifer. If you're not though, you still have go sign up. It's fun. You need a computer, a really decent computer though. But anyway, there's this fun concept in which you have to be wearing your appropriate group tag to
Mm-hmm.
be able to place things in world. For the first time in my history, I was dealing with a sim that didn't have that requirement yet. So I'm running around trying to set up the house. I'm running around trying to set up the office and pull stuff from the old house and get all this stuff done. And so when I set up most of the office, I didn't have my group tag on, or at least not the right one. Because any other place, like the new house or the old house, I have to be wearing it or I can't drop things.
Right.
It immediately goes, no, you don't have permission. You can't do that. Whereas the new one never said a word to me.
Yeah.
But then,
Uh-huh.
when they did the permission switch, all my stuff flooded back to me, and I'm like, we just went on air. We just went on air.
Yeah. But there are also some spatial things, and I think this was a really good dry run for when
Yes.
Aeson gets tired of West Virginia.
Yeah, no. No. Unless AI becomes a mover / interior decorating assistant,
Uh-huh.
and I just get to point and click all day. Because I can point and click really good. I can set up a whole house. But
Honey, there's
otherwise
these
no.
lovely humans that have lovely jobs called movers.
Yeah, no, I don't want to be the reason someone hates a human being. Like there's
That's
a
my
difference
job.
between well, of course. But no, like there's a difference between you hire someone to pack up all your stuff and someone to deliver boxes. That's the movers I'm good for.
Oh no, I want the
In terms of
military movers that go through and unpack everything and put it into place for you. And you just pull up to the drive and go, the couch goes over there. The TV goes in there. That box goes there.
yeah. Let me tell you how that's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little to the left. Just a little to the right. Okay, back to the left. and to the right.
Uh-huh.
Oh, the problem is it needs to come forward and rotate like 3 degrees. No. 3 degrees the other way. Okay, now 3 more degrees to offset what you just did.
Oh, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. And, they saw me in action, and it's like, oh no, you've called me. I have your phone number. I will call you.
Oh yeah, that was a mistake. I should. Unfortunately, if they're watching now, because I know that was part of your moment. Well, because what had happened was I didn't know what occurred.
Right.
I just knew that I started my day sitting in my lovely, just set up office that was very pretty.
Uh-huh.
And then at the end of the day, because I had gotten busy and I didn't have a chance. I had Second Life running. I just wasn't looking at it. I pulled the screen up and I'm looking over and I'm like, it's just me in my chair. Because apparently I placed like a few things with the appropriate tag.
Right.
Thankfully, my chair was one of them.
Right.
Or I would have literally been sitting in the floor of my darkened, empty office.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, what happened?
Yeah, and we had done live. We had shown off the office. We were getting ready to upload because this wasn't the end of the story here. When we do a show on these networks, then it gets pushed over to the podcasting networks, and you can go watch us on Apple and Google and Podbox and all 100 others. You can even listen to us on the Alexa, and if you have the Alexa display, you can watch us too.
Mm-hmm.
But I am like, this is going to 10,000 listeners. Fix it now.
Like what? Well, and that's what I was trying to tell you because you were freaking out, and you were just ready to kill our poor landlord or landlord assistant. Landlord assistant. Yeah. And I'm like, no. I don't think that, because it's not uncommon if you get evicted.
Mm-hmm.
Just mass return. Here's your crap. This is normal. And that was my first thought is, how did we get evicted? What did I do? Because, all my stuff's gone. But then I'm sitting here going, well, my chair's still here, and this thing's still here, and that thing's still here. Mm-hmm. And I know they're mine. And so that's why I was like, calm down. There's been an incident.
Uh-huh.
Like something has gone awry. Right. So, like, don't kill them, but you're already at, like, 10,000? And so, like, you called, and, that was kind of, I just told 10,000 people to come visit me at my shop in Second Life, and all my stuff is gone. What is going on? We don't know.
Yeah, they didn't know. They'd never seen it happen before.
Yeah. Well, because love the world of Second Life. You meet people literally from all over the world.
Uh-huh.
Our landlord assistant was in a totally different time zone.
Yeah.
He was asleep.
No, he wasn't.
When all of this, but hadn't logged in yet. He had been asleep and hadn't logged in yet. But no, effectively, like, he made the permission change, logged out, went to bed. So I'm seeing it while he's probably like still asleep / just waking up. By the time you're talking to someone, he's waking up. He's not going to log in for a little bit. And you're just like, so then you finally, like,
we get it fixed.
We got it fixed enough that it's like, okay, I'm going to bed. I have to go to bed.
Right.
really have to go to bed.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you talk to him and you're like, what did you do? I know how that conversation started. It was, what did you do?
Did you do?
It's,
What did we do? It started out with what did we do? And it went to what did you do? Fix it. And I got to give him credit. He is a very dedicated gym person. We know this about him. He says, okay, I'm skipping the gym and fixing this. And I'm like, yes, you are. You can go and do some yoga later. Fix it.
Mm-hmm. Only to find out what had happened was before he like I had already placed stuff and done all this without the permissions requirement. He changed permissions. There was nothing he could do to fix it. Yeah. It was like, no, it's good. He just has to wear his tag. That was the final grand arc of the story. Is no, it's fine. Like,
well, that and apparently Second Life has certain rules set up because they're still building the Sims out. Yeah, and they were building some things, and it hit a Sims one of the fucking Second Life rules.
Yeah. Because when I'm replacing stuff, that was part 2 of the whole thing. So then I start trying to rebuild us, and thank God I started downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I started in my office where my heart died, but no, I started downstairs because it's like, this is the most important thing. If I don't get our offices done tonight, meh.
Right.
The store has to go back together, so I put the store back together. I was a little impatient to move in, Brenda. I really was. But no, so I started downstairs, started with the store front and getting everything put back in it. And then I had to go up a level. It was like, okay, well, let me start on Aeson's office because that'll calm him down. And all of a sudden, it just starts telling me parcel full. Parcel full. And I'm like, okay, I know I have put a lot of things into this, but I can't be at the limit.
Right.
Because there's this thing called land impact, and each item you place has a land impact value. Right. To make it really simple, let's assume each item has a land impact of 1, give or take. And that our parcel, or what's supposed to be our parcel, is we have a limit set of 200.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, no.
Right.
There's no way. I know this is a totally different space, and I've had to pull extra items from inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, when I set up the office, and I didn't go over, I'm nowhere near that number of items pulled into world. There's no way I did that.
Right.
Tonight.
Right.
Because I had your office set, I had my office set, I had all the stuff set. And it wasn't alarming.
Well, it was apparently the grass behind the building was in our office parcel, and it's like,
well,
yeah.
Well, I was going to say, like, when this all started, you had asked me before you told me what you were going to do, like, how much is our office in land impact? I'm like, I don't know, 50? Because I'm literally, as it was, in the house, our office, a confined space, it's like 50.
Right.
Okay, but we're moving into a whole building, and so I'd said, maybe 100. Like, I can do this in 100.
Right.
So we, hit the parcel limit. He starts, finds out what's actually wrong. Is like half the sim is running out of our parcel.
Right. We're all in one big parcel, and they hadn't divided it up, and that created some chaos. But anyhow, all of it's sorted out. We are open for business. I will be at a party tonight in Darkheart. If you want to come and jam with us, come jam with us.
And since I can't check it, what's my current prim count? Or my land impact?
I can't check it. We're both streaming.
Okay. We'll get you guys an update later. I think your last check, it was like a 99.
Right.
But then that had the building too.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm right on like 100.
So which one do you want to take on first?
Oh.
We've got
let's
some
start
choices.
with the I don't know. All right, let's just start government and work our way into things that have got to be better than that. Oh, well, maybe. All right, so McConnell will step down as the Senate Republican leader in November after a record run in the job. Oh, so Mitch McConnell, the longest-serving Senate leader in history, who maintained his power in the face of dramatic convulsions in the Republican Party for almost 2 decades, will step down from that position in November. McConnell, who turned 82 last week, announced his decision Wednesday in the well of the Senate, the chamber where he looked in awe from its back benches in 1985 when he arrived, and where he grew increasingly comfortable in the front row seat afforded the party leaders. One of life's most underappreciated talents is to know when it's time to move on to life's next chapter, he said. So I stand before you today to say this will be my last term as Republican leader of the Senate. His decision punctuates a powerful ideological transition underway in the Republican Party from Ronald Reagan's brand of traditional conservatism and strong international alliances to the fiery, often isolationist populism of former President Donald Trump. So he plans to serve out his Senate term, which ends in January 2027, from a different seat in the chamber. Yeah.
Yeah, and, Snapping Turtle's going to be retiring.
All right. So, yeah, aides said McConnell's announcement was unrelated to his health. That was my first thought. The Kentucky senator had a concussion from a fall last year and 2 public episodes where his face briefly froze while he was speaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's been under pressure.
Yeah, he this is another consequence of us having senators and representatives older than most of its populace.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in some regards, I do have respect for elder members of our population helping to guide our government and our decisions, and but yeah, we tend to skew high on that one,
right?
When it comes to that,
right?
Because what is it? The average is somewhere in the 70s. Whereas our average population is somewhere in their 40s. Like, that's a pretty big differential, especially when you factor in the income gap.
64
is our average senator.
Yes.
/ representative.
Correct.
And what's our average population? 38.1.
Right.
Yeah, that's quite the gap.
Now, what's interesting is the House is younger. The average House member is Their 40s or younger.
Okay, so they're more in line with the average population.
Right.
So, U.S. Senate average. I don't even want to call it income. That's not really average wealth.
Yes.
Net worth of U.S. senators and. Let's see. The average worth. Average net worth in this from 2011. Oh no, that's U.S. Congress. Ooh, it doesn't get better. U.S. Senate. 2011, same year. 14 million.
Mm-hmm.
$13,596. That's average.
Yeah, I think they
Average
need
in
minimum
that
wage reimbursement.
I mean, like the orders of magnitude over your average
Mm-hmm.
net worth. What is the average net worth in the U.S.?
32,000.
Okay. No, actually, it's it's broken down by age.
Mm-hmm.
So Americans' average net worth by age.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. That is a range. Median net worth ranges from 39,000 to 335,000.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at net worth, that ranges at age under 35 from 183,500 to 1,624,100.
Right.
And that's ages 75 plus.
Right.
Which kind of to be expected. You get that nice cash infusion of like, here's your retirement.
Right. And your house is normally paid off, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a large disharmony there. I think this will be the end of an era. I'm a little worried about who will take his position, but that'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's sometimes the scary part is like, yay, McConnell's gone. Oh, God.
Now maybe if we can get rid of Ron
Wait
Neal
6
and
months
Lobby
and
Paul,
we'll be sitting around going, McConnell wasn't so bad.
well, he's one of the older backroom dealers.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they have that anymore. I've been watching the senator from North Carolina's TikToks for a long while now, and he talks about that what is said in closed doors is much different from what is out in the news media.
Well, which is kind of to be expected,
right?
I mean, I think we've all had that office moment where it's like the thing we say to customers.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing we say in, private.
Well, it made me reconsider bobblehead as if she's just so much of a bobblehead.
Okay.
Or moldy Marjorie has so much mold and stupidity on there. Is she just too high to concentrate?
Or is it just not very good at like clean it up for the population?
Right.
Like,
so,
don't say the silent part out loud.
Well, she doesn't even know the half the time what she's voting on, which is scary.
Well, then again, not uncommon. That's actually been a long-term issue with the size of the bills and that they are requested to vote on. It's not uncommon for our representatives to quote unquote not have time to actually read it through.
Well, see, and
they end up
then
being
that's the problem, in
aides
my
to
opinion.
read it for them.
Yeah, that's my problem. I think they should have to pass a reading comprehension test on a bill before they're allowed to vote on it.
You know, I think we would see more gridlock than we already have. Like, because it can be overwhelming when you're talking about like 500-page long bills
Mm-hmm.
and multiples of them coming for
Mm-hmm.
vote that have had numerous changes and amendments and restatements and all that. I don't really have a problem with reliance upon aides to break up that task and form a cohesive idea of like, are we for or against? The problem often being is how well are representatives listening to that?
Mm-hmm.
And what is it that they're hearing that actually influences their vote? And are their aides playing to that?
Well, see, here's my problem. This Congress has passed 27 bills in its Congress seat. In 2023, Congress wasn't very productive. Like, they did not have their task list together. They only passed 27 bills.
Mm-hmm.
We paid them. Let me go back. I'm going to do some math here.
Okay. But no, it's been a long-term issue though.
You know, I think we need to put them on performance reviews, all of them. For each bill, we paid them $6,445.
That was a hefty amount of money for consulting.
And they can't even read the bill. I think we're paying them too much if they can't read a document.
I mean, again, in most instances, their aides should be creating what would effectively work out to an executive summary.
Right.
Like, what are the key points? What are its key pitfalls?
Right.
And again, I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
It bugs me in general that they are sitting there having not read this bill. Right. We are codependent upon they have aides that are giving them the best information possible,
right,
to make an informed decision, and where they particularly skew,
right.
If they read it different. Oh, so there we go. I'm all for them only making what the average household makes, and they don't get a raise of that number if that number doesn't go up. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
I think but see, here's the debate in that is right now, like the money they actually get paid by the U.S. government for being a senator, a congressman, whatever. Is a small fraction of their total income,
right,
from being a senator or congressman or whatever.
Right.
Then there's all the lobbying interest and what they pay, and the spouses of senators that they employ as consultants, and all the different ways of compensation. All
that should go against them.
Well, like the idea's always been, though, is if you lower that pay, they just become more of a moneyed interest.
Well, see, that's
but at this point, I think we've hit the tipping point where it doesn't matter anymore. Like, this is they can easily give up what they're making.
Right.
The average, I'm just saying the average representative can give up what they're making from the federal government as a paycheck and not be harmed, because they've made enough like lobbying deals. They're set. That money they're getting annually from the government for the position, not even like, you can just keep it.
Well, no, I think we should apply Social Security rules to them. If they get income in,
Mm-hmm.
it comes out of their pay and keeps decreasing. And if it's a negative, well, they have to pay into the government.
Well, and see, here's the problem, though, is how much of this ends up going not directly. Like, if you're a lobbying, interest and you're lobbying Mitch McConnell, because we'll go ahead and use him as an example.
Yeah.
You don't write a check to Mitch McConnell for his vote on XYZ bill. No. You write a check to at least a corporation that one way or another impacts Mitch McConnell positively. Either it's a re-election campaign, it is, a business that he owns, and so he got paid as a consultant on this bill. One way or another. You don't directly send it to Mitch McConnell. And then even then, you're not going to necessarily see that money immediately in Mitch McConnell's pocket. Again, we're using Mitch McConnell as an example here.
Right.
Just names right there on the tip of the tongue because we were just talking about it. He doesn't immediately take possession. It's not like, here's $1 million from, name a defense contractor to Mitch McConnell. That's not how that's. And Mitch McConnell now has, $1 million in his pocket. It's more so a business entity owned by Mitch McConnell now has $1 million in its account, and Mitch McConnell has access to that money some way, somehow. Either, he draws a salary from the company, he has, all of his assets tied into the company, so it pays his, car payment. It pays his whatever. Pays his
again, apply government regulations to this. Point blank. He has to deal with the same, tic-tac-toe that couples on Social Security get to play with.
Well, I think the realities there is we've already hit the tipping point where they would just kind of laugh and be like, okay.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean? Just, okay. Like, it's what is it? 100 and some thousand a year?
174,000 a year.
Yeah. 174,000 a year. Again, some
for the rest of their life.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure that after they leave, well, I have no income. I have assets. Like, I'm sure that'll be 2027. All of those corporate interests get divested, down and distilled into one bank account. And that's the day Mitch McConnell walks out with the golden parachute. Of all the lobbying money that hasn't been spent on something else yet, all the, just you name it, it's in your account.
Right. Well, again, I think then, the government plays tic-tac-toe and he has to start writing checks to the U.S. government.
Could be interesting.
Yeah. I think we can pay off our national debt real fast.
Possibly.
And they only get paid if they produce bills. They've produced, 27 bills, I think it is this year. So they only get paid 27% of the median income of the country.
Hey, there you go.
Right. So let's move over to a story that caught me off guard.
Oh?
Woman arrested after social media post shows 5-year-old daughter waxing older client, police said.
All right. A mother has been criminally charged after posting a photo to social media allegedly showing her 5-year-old daughter waxing older women, according to the Memphis Police Department. Jasmine Moss was charged with child neglect. WMC spoke with Melanie Salisbury, the owner of the Memphis Skin Academy in Bartlett, for her input as a licensed esthetician. Myself being a mother, I probably would not have my child as young as 5 doing a service such as that, said Salisbury. On Wednesday, officers received a series of complaints regarding social media posts showing disturbing images involving a young girl. The reported images were uploaded to Moss's Instagram account, which she used to promote her hair removal service. Police say 3 images posted by Moss show the young girl applying hot wax to the nude pubic area of adults. In Tennessee, you have to be at least 16 years old to actually get hours to obtain a license to become an esthetician, said Salisbury. To become a licensed esthetician in the state of Tennessee, you must also complete 750 hours of training and pass written and physical examinations. Moss identified the young child as her daughter in the Instagram post, which also boasts that the child waxed 24 clients for more than 8 hours, according to the affidavit. Salisbury said waxing is too dangerous for a child. Quote, even as an adult professional, you can get burned, says Salisbury. Allegedly, Moss also operates her business out of her home. Salisbury said, although it's not illegal to have an esthetician business in your home, there are laws and regulations. As long as it's inspected by the Tennessee State Board of Cosmetology, they come through and inspect the premises and other things surrounding your local code enforcement, said Salisbury. For the safety of the public, I always tell my students to work in a professional setting. Oh, Moss will face a judge Tuesday morning. I was going back and forth. At first, I wanted to laugh because I'm like, okay, you got cute and playful, with the imaging, and like your daughter is doing this. But these women, you had to get real creative if these women look like they're nude.
They were.
Well, that's the thing, though, is most likely they are nude. Not they look like they are getting waxed, but not really. Right. Because I think we've all had that take your child to work moment where, like, construction workers, you throw a hard hat on them and be like, my baby done built 4 houses today, and it's cute and funny and everyone laughs because like the baby did shit. Like, your 5-year-old can't build a house. Your 5-year-old can't operate an end loader. Like, what the hell are you talking about? It's cute. It's funny. Like, whatever. The further this goes on, the more I think, oh my God, they actually had this 5-year-old doing this.
Yes.
Like, seriously?
Right.
Like, no. I can't imagine 24 clients were, like, all women, that 24 female clients did not, one of them, at least as far as we know from the story, that like 24 clients let this happen.
Right.
Like, I know it'd be very different if she were to be working on a man, and not that I've ever been to have my hair waxed. But I'm thinking, if I were a woman and I were there to get waxed, the minute your 5-year-old walks in and starts to do anything, peace out. Peace out. I'm out. No. This is a 5-year-old? You're going to let the 5-year-old.
Right.
Like, are you crazy?
Right. But the other part of me is on the other side of this is, where are these 24 women? Why are they not arrested?
Okay, I don't think what they did was criminal. I just can't believe a single one of them didn't stand up and be like, oh, hell no.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is your child.
Right.
Like, okay, I understand I'm coming to your house and there's an opportunity that, like, your child's going to free float through and, like, crap's going to happen because this is home-based business and crap happens. Right. I've accepted that part. I could understand if your adorable 5-year-old is bringing you sheets and towels. I could understand if your adorable 5-year-old is like fetching, is like running payments. That'd just be adorable. There's a lot of things I could accept in a home-based business and, like, your child's involved.
Right.
But at the point in which that little girl comes at me with hot wax,
right?
Oh, hell no!
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell no! What the hell is wrong with you? Like, the cops would have been called on me first because your neighbors would have done thought one of your clients is going to kill you.
Right.
Like, maybe we should call the police. The police would arrive and then figure out what the situation is, and then it would be the story that is the story.
Right.
But I'm thinking as one of the 24, if I were female, if I were in this situation for hair removal, I can't imagine. Like, is this happening at other places? And like, she's just the one dumb enough to post it to Instagram? Because 24 women, 24 clients to go through this, and nope.
Right.
Nope, this occurred. And then the client at least comfortable enough to be photographed.
Right.
I'm assuming one client, not all 24 or multiple of the 24, to just be like, oh, this is normal. What? Like, this is normal for this esthetician, or this is normal as a home-based business esthetician that, like, your 5-year-old
right
is gonna be doing some waxing. Okay, cool.
No.
What? Like, and that's where you even get into you were naked from the waist down, because I'm assuming you're there for a bikini wax. Or some version thereof.
Right.
24 women didn't sit here and go, no, that's 5-year-old. No.
Right.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am, we do not disrobe from the waist down in front of a 5-year-old in this particular situation.
Right.
This seems inappropriate.
Okay. Currently, we're seeing it as a 5-year-old girl doing it on other women.
Yeah.
Let's reverse it. Let's take this up a step. 5-year-old girl waxing men.
Oh, hell no. And that's why I immediately moved myself over. Like, I did a gender swap, and then, like, the fact that I would even be doing hair removal. That's the beginning in which, okay, even at that, like, same gender, like, I think we can all agree at least enough that, like, that moves it more towards, like, a 5-year-old in an adult locker room. That probably ought not be there.
Exactly.
To start with.
Right.
Like, go to the family locker room, not to the all-adult locker room. Go to the family locker room. Use your privacy.
Yeah.
But even at that, it's like, this isn't just, people changing after, like, swimming and all this.
Right.
Working out, taking a shower, all that. This is some very up-close personal contact.
Yes.
Like, this is not, 30 feet away, some 40-year-old woman is changing her clothes.
No.
This is like, hi.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. These
whatever
are
this child's arm length is.
On average.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sorry, Memphis has 24 more arrests to do. Point blank.
Yeah. That's ridiculous to me.
Right.
All right, so interesting comment. Arms and legs, I can barely grip it. If she wants to yank it off, fine. But yeah, that's I'm assuming the wax is hot. So no, and definitely not that area. Yeah, that's I mean, again, if we were talking maybe, you want to play around and be cutesy and take a photo of your child waxing and like you're waxing someone's arm.
Right.
Okay, fine. Like, I would say that, like, everyone's overreacting. Like, I'm sure mom was not dumb enough to let her actually handle the wax, even if it looks like she's doing it. Like, I'm sure it's a controlled picture. Calm down. Or okay, maybe she had a couple of risks, but it wasn't like the end of the world. But the layers of this one, oh yeah, Brenda's like, this is definitely a her talking to a therapist in the future.
Yes.
Yeah, very near future, I would say.
Right.
Okay, so all right. So my kids watched me get my brows and face waxed when they were younger, asked if they could yank it off. LOL, worker did the wax. Kids took turn ripping the hair out. Just sadists. Again, like I can follow that for like brow and face, and okay, these are your kids. Like, but still, that's nothing, that is no intimate area waxing.
Hey, Joe, Slack channel and do not show it.
Okay. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, there's no way I'm showing that. Like, that's inappropriate to show, period.
Right.
Like, already, even if the girl's not 5. Even if the girl's not 5, that's an inappropriate image to show in a live stream.
Right.
I mean, blurred out, thankfully. Wasn't for her. Keep in mind, 5-year-old saw it all. And that is intimate area waxing.
Yeah.
I can't even believe a client would let you take the photo.
Yeah.
That's like, just envision intimate area waxing however you envision it. No, you can't see body autonomy, or you can't tell her religion from the photo, but otherwise it is everything you would expect.
Right.
I can't believe, again, 24 women, grown women, let this occur.
Right.
And not I mean, I have to have hope that one of them was part of the, here's the social media post, I went through this, but I'm not going to tell you that because I don't want no part of this, because I don't know what the hell was wrong with my brain, because I let it occur because I don't know.
Right.
I'm hoping at least one of those 24 was part of reporting it. That, here's the evidence. Because otherwise I'm sitting here with 24 women went through this and not one said, no ma'am, I'm done, bye.
Right.
You need your head examined. There's no, this no, not happening. Not today, not to me, not ever again. Because again, I'm picturing like, if I can jump into the mental space of a woman in that situation, I'm pretty sure I'm coming off that table real quick.
Right.
And very angry.
Right.
One, that as my esthetician, you would even think about that.
Right.
Like, you even thought your 5-year-old was going to wax me. 2, that you sent her in here while I'm ready to be waxed, and that you would ever believe. So that's why I'm questioning, like, is there somewhere this is normalized?
I don't believe so. I don't think it's normalized. I mean, Tennessee's got some weird labor laws, and Kentucky just loosened theirs so that a 14-year-old can work.
Apparently, Tennessee makes some decent sense. You have to be 16 even to get hours for an esthetician's license.
Right. But
like,
what I'm
at
saying
16, I can start to be like, okay, if you're working on same gender clients and you're, I'm assuming you cannot do intimate area waxing until you turn 18, but you can do like arms and brows and faces and, Stuff you could do with an open door.
Right. But no, thank you for TMZ for providing the images to get the clear picture, but no, we're not sharing them.
No. But if you're determined
right
to burn your brain.
Exactly, Brenda. That is my point. They have 24 more arrests to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so Brenda's comment is it's almost a sexual offense. You paid money and let a child touch you in inappropriate areas. See, this is where I really struggle there, because I don't think any of these women intentionally sought this out.
Right.
And at no point do I think this was in any way meant for sexual gratification.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a horrible situation that they let occur, which I don't know. Get your head examined, because what the hell? That's a baby.
Yeah. Quickly.
Get the baby out of my room.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a long, I'm not having waxing done today, and we're going to have a real long conversation about what the hell are you thinking?
Yeah.
Because what? No, I'm sorry. I think I would lose my shit.
Yes. I know I would quickly. Totally. Brenda's right on my chain link. Brenda's right on my chain.
Brenda's there. Her touching, waxing a man for money would get the man arrested. Yeah, and I think men would be more responsive to the situation. Just from a perspective of, do you know the felonies, plural felonies, this situation you just created is?
Right.
Before they even touch me, there's multiple felonies here.
Right.
Before they touch me, there are multiple felonies here.
Right.
Like, I'm going to jail.
Right.
For a situation you created.
Right.
But if it was a man, Joe, in the same situation, he'd be, yeah, no, I get it. I'm there. Like, no, I'm aware.
Right.
Like, again, I'm trying to make some leeway, and even in the leeway go, no, it's still wrong.
Right.
I mean, because I do think that we often tax women, especially surrounding motherhood, with a total loss of privacy and a total loss of the ability to independently go and do anything.
Right.
More often than men are taxed with it.
Right.
Through, child rearing. I get that, and I know that there are sometimes some moments that you live through.
Right.
And that your toddler is, gonna rip the shower curtain open. And you accept that.
Right. And
you're gonna try to take a 2-minute shower.
Right. And I hope they bring in her responses to the comments. Please, Judge, allow those into court.
Oh, there were oh my God, she tried to defend herself?
Yeah, that she was passing LLCs to her children and
lifetime learning credits? Or what?
Limited partnerships, LLCs.
So she's literally sitting here like, yep, this is what we do. It's family-run business.
Exactly. And the money was going into a fund that she was going to invest for the child. So she'd be a millionaire when she turned 18. That'll pay for the therapy, maybe.
Maybe, but no, I appreciate get your child working at an early age. I appreciate it. I think that's brilliant. Not at this.
No.
There's a lot. I mean, again, I think if you're running a home-based business, whatever it may be, I'm sure your 5-year-old is capable of running a credit card. I mean, I'd be a little I know that I've had it happen in restaurants.
Yeah.
where the adorably precocious 5-year-old, is standing at the little checkout and has run my card, and I thought it was the most precious thing ever.
Right.
Like, look at you working. It's so cute.
But she wasn't in the kitchen. She wasn't washing dishes. She wasn't serving food.
Right.
Not at
I
5.
can even understand if, because you're helping mommy around the house, you were to take some of your tips and be like, this is yours, and I'm going to put it in an account for you. That I follow. Like you did the dishes and you swept up the kitchen and you took out the trash. Assuming that we're talking like 3 foot out the back door. You know what I mean? Like, you helped mommy. You were a really good girl. You were awesome. You brought me towels, and you know. I think there's a lot of
the washcloths.
anything
outside the client's room.
Yeah, that helps me have one less thing to do while I run my business. I could totally see taking part of the tips, even part of the appointment fee, and being like, I'm going to set this aside for you. You earned that. You contributed in a way that let me do this and not, but no, that stops at the edges of the room.
Right.
When a client's in there.
Exactly.
Like, what the hell? Like, no.
All right. So let's move over to we got 2 techie articles, and then we're moving into the other stuff. Let's start with probation.
Okay. Oh, this was a fun one. So, yeah. College student put on academic probation for using Grammarly as an AI violation. So, without even reading the story, this is about Marley Stevens, 21, a human services and delivery and administration major at the University of North Georgia, Delonga campus. I believe I said that right. Anyway, the story's real simple. Wrote a paper, has Grammarly installed on their computer. Grammarly made some corrections. Turns the paper in, and gets back a response from this professor that it was flagged for being written by artificial intelligence. And she goes, what? I'm sorry, what? Like, no. Wrote the paper. Checked it with Grammarly. Many professors have told us to use Grammarly. I'm sure many teachers before this have told them to use Grammarly. It's very popular little software.
Right.
It's a lovely browser add-on for a couple of bucks. There's a desktop app. A lot of people run their stuff through Grammarly.
Right.
It is not artificial intelligence. It just simply knows words.
Right.
And how they should be used structurally.
Right.
And if you put these 2 words next to each other, they need a comma.
Right.
It looks like you created a run-on sentence. Let me break it apart.
Right.
That's probably the highest end of like AI that Grammarly does. Right. Is go, you created a run-on sentence, let me break that up. Or suggest to you how it can be broken up.
Right.
Because Grammarly's not always the best. And I'll say that sincerely. It does a lot of wonderful things. Right. But sometimes when it does suggest, like, this is a run-on sentence, let me break it up for you, you sit there and go, no, please don't.
Right.
Because the way it breaks it up is not always the prettiest.
Right.
Like, it becomes very Dick and Jane.
Right.
C-spot run. C-spot run fast. Please don't do that. But that's it. That's all Grammarly does. Many of us are familiar and use it. We use it at work. We use it at home. We've used it for school.
Right.
it is nothing more than a slightly more advanced version of like Microsoft Word's grammar check.
Right.
Like it, and this is from back in the day when that wasn't the best either.
Right.
Like if anything, Grammarly has been part of the pull for Microsoft to get better. So we're really not talking at this point about much different than what you get in like Microsoft Word. Full word editing document or text editing document program. So it's like this moment for the student of like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right.
Like, I did no such thing.
Right.
So apparently this was because the professor used the anti-plagiarism software turnitin.com, which
Right.
the ironies of the fact that professors and teachers around the world are now dumping documents into software that uses artificial intelligence to figure out if these were plagiarized documents.
Right.
Like, hi, follow along with that. It's kind of wonky when you think about it for too long. So because the software threw back that it was written with artificial intelligence, it was flagged for that. Right. They went through a full academic probation and disciplinary hearing for the student. Nope, nothing she said. She admitted using Grammarly. And they have accepted that, the results of this turnitin.com anti-plagiarism software are 100% infallible. So she has lost her scholarship, in addition to being put on academic probation, and I'm sure set up with a bunch of disciplinary rules. So yeah, so if you're out there and you are, watching the show and you are taking classes, you are in college, you are whatever, be very, very careful what software you use to edit your documents. Because apparently this is not a first for Grammarly.
Right.
Who says that there is no AI being used in Grammarly's software, but apparently something about how it works does have a tendency to trigger turnitin.com and other anti-plagiarism softwares into believing that AI was used. So I think that's insane.
Right.
Like, it's insane.
It's insane.
Like, I get we have problems with students using, AI to write papers for them.
Right.
Like, I get that. Which, great. We're going to use software to combat software.
And they're going to fight each other because turnitin.com actually has its own grammar checking.
Which, I mean, it's almost to the point you need to write poorly to be able to pass the anti-plagiarism challenge.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think it's almost expecting a certain amount of fallibility.
Right.
To pass the AI challenge, that if your grammar's too perfect, then obviously you couldn't be a human who wrote it.
Exactly.
And it's like, wait, what?
But yet corporations are instructing people to use AI responses. Point blank.
We were just talking about, Air Canada, granted they've stopped, but the airline in Canada that, was using it for customer service. Like, here's your AI chatbot. Like, good luck.
Right.
We have many businesses that are now using AI in a number of ways to either replace employees, work faster, or hell, write a whole fucking legal brief.
Exactly.
And hope that it cites appropriate case law that actually exists.
Well, you still have to do your work. You still have to read it, because I'm telling you, I use AI because it is excellent for dyslexia. But at the same time,
and
I
it's
have to go and
imperfect.
reread it. It's very imperfect.
Like it has moments that, like, you sit there and you read it and you're like, that's interesting.
Yep, I don't think so. So be double checking. Run your, at least the site they're using, so you can run it beforehand and go.
No, actually, I don't think you can. I think turnitin.com requires a subscription. Like, I think it's the Blackboard of its time, in a sense, that everyone knows what it is, and like, you can go to it, but I don't think you can actually, like, pre-check.
Yeah, you can. You can run it through.
Really?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yep.
So, yeah, I would almost be afraid, though, if I run it through there, is it going to identify me as plagiarizing myself when my professor runs it through?
No.
Like,
so be reading your syllabus. The recommendations is email your professors and go, what's your view on Grammarly? How can I best serve this? And be very clear with it and get it in writing. This is not a conversation. This is in writing.
Yeah. This is a written response. Like,
yes.
And it sucks to have to be at that level, and then still you could potentially hit a moment where the software says nope.
But see, this is the thing, and this has been the thing, and this is like, I'm sorry. Always get your IEPs or any conditions or anything your professor says about your grade and your work in writing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just a whole new classroom.
It's always been a war zone classroom.
No, I was saying there's a whole new classroom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I'm sorry. I remember having a boss while I was a work study assistant who also taught a class, and she read this one person's paper, and she's like, she just handed me the paper and a book because she knew what book it was.
Right.
She could hear the author's voice, and is like, go through this paper and highlight.
Right.
Everywhere that it has been, plagiarized. And so I started through this paper and I killed a highlighter somewhere around page 2.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually what I did was not at all what she asked, but I went through and found the section of the text, which wasn't hard to find. It was, a very specific subject. And I just highlighted all the words that were different. So I handed it back, and she's just looking at me like, what the hell is this? And I said, I killed like 2 highlighters before I realized it made more sense for me to just highlight what was different. And her eyes, big as saucers, went, oh my God. And so, the rest of that story is the student. They were an international student, and so a lot of leeway was given on the fact that, well, maybe they didn't understand.
Right.
Like there was some miscommunication here about what plagiarism is and what I meant. So benefit of the doubt, let you rewrite it. We'll have a very long conversation about what the word plagiarism means. And the student picked up a different book on the subject, did the exact same thing. Ironically, it was a very small field. And my boss had co-authored 2 books in it.
Yes.
This student chose both books.
Mm-hmm.
The first one she had worked on. The second one she had worked on. And she's like, all right, so you know what plagiarism is. You don't know how to not do it. Okay.
Right.
Because same situation, I went through with a highlighter and just highlighted what was different, and it was not mine.
Yeah.
It was like, boop,
boop. Boop. All right, guys, let's take a break and we'll be right back.
All right.
Are you ready for an enchanting journey of self-discovery and empowerment? Dive into the mystical world of Wicca with our courses guided by Lord Aeson Knight. Unveil Wicca's secrets, explore fundamental principles, and delve into essential topics like deity relationships and the purpose of rituals. Aeson Knight, a third-degree high priest, shares his wisdom through life coaching lessons, guiding you towards a brighter future. Step into the inner circle of enlightenment. Enroll today to embark on a journey toward a more empowered you. Click the link to take your first step into the magical circle.
Ready to join the Psychic Coffee Shop Network? By becoming our patron, you'll unlock exclusive content from Aeson Knight, host of the Psychic Coffee Shop podcast and co-host of the Mountain Bears podcast, alongside the tech-savvy Techie Joe. Choose from subscription options ranging from Tall $1, Grande $5, to Venti $10 per month, supporting us in covering production costs and beyond. Depending on your subscription level, enjoy discounts on private readings, free access to classes and special events, behind-the-scenes extras, and the chance to participate in station meetings. Plus, you'll get early access to new content and the opportunity to shape future topics. We'll acknowledge your support in the credits of our videos. Don't wait. Brew some magic and join us today as a valued member. Link in the show description. Aeson Knight, your gateway to a transformed life. In a world where anyone can claim to be a life coach, Aeson stands out as a true professional with the skills and qualifications to guide you on your journey to success. So why invest in a personal life coach? Let's explore the game-changing benefits Aeson brings to the table. Ever find it hard to stay committed to change on your own? Aeson's expertise ensures you stay on track. With him as your coach, that internal drive kicks in, motivating you to keep your promises and achieve your goals. Making a change is tough, but Aeson makes it 1,000 times easier. He's your unwavering support, guiding you through challenges, pushing you beyond your limits, and believing in you even when you doubt yourself. Friends are great, but they may not always want to see you succeed. Aeson, on the other hand, is dedicated solely to your success. He removes negativity and limiting beliefs, giving you the tailored support you need. Forget endless hours deciphering advice from books and videos. Aeson is your shortcut to effective change. He saves you time and money by offering personalized attention, guiding you toward the tools and lessons that will truly work for you. Ready for a better tomorrow? Book your discovery call with Aeson Knight now. Take the first step toward the life you've always dreamed of. Aeson Knight, your partner in transformation. Start your journey today.
Welcome back. Just a reminder, we do have a station meeting tomorrow.
Yay. All right, so one last article, and then we'll hit the Am I the Asshole?
Yes.
All right, so self-checkouts are disappearing from retailers. Here's why. So for a while, they looked to be the future of shopping. Grocery stores, home improvement stores, and retail chains were all making room for those blinking green lanes of sweeping modern shopping convenience, or so they said. The self-checkouts where you become cashier and bagger. If you've ever visited Target on a Sunday evening and have seen the snaking line of self-checkout customers weaving into the store, you know. But you may be seeing fewer of them in major retailers nowadays, and you can blame retail crime across the country. On social media, one user recently posted a picture of the Walmart in West Hills, California, with the self-checkout lanes roped off. The post said all Walmarts have removed self-checkouts due to theft. Nextars KTLA reached out to Walmart to find out if the self-checkout lanes were indeed a thing of the past. Are they removing all of them in California? Which stores have had them removed or simply closed temporarily or otherwise? A Walmart spokesperson said they needed to research the issue. They later replied saying, "We're always looking at ways to innovate and improve our stores. We have nothing to announce related to self-checkout removals at this time." When pressed for specifics, the retailer offered none. I'll refer you to the previous statement. That's the only comment we have. It's the not-so-secret secret. Retail chains are doing away with these lanes, and many do not want to talk about it. In December, sfgate.com reported that Target quietly removed self-checkouts in San Francisco, calling it, quote, a trend in defensive retailing that may soon spread across the city. Other reports say Target, when it does allow self-checkout, is only doing so for customers with 10 items or less, no more big carts full of items. Other chains, including Costco, have been dealing with the issue, saying that shrink, or the measure by which chains track retail theft, has increased in part due to the rollout of self-checkout. Target and Costco did not respond to questions regarding the issue. Now, California crime trends may be proving too costly. LAPD data from 2023 shows retail theft up 16% in the city of Los Angeles. Many of those crimes involve flash mob style attacks on retailers. Reported shoplifting incidents rose in the Bay Area, and shoplifting is trending up in Los Angeles and other urban areas. But it's not just California. According to a survey conducted by the National Retail Federation, retailers reported a $112 billion in losses in 2022. So 1 year, 112 billion due to theft. For those who are sticking with self-checkout, the Associated Press says Kroger is one of the companies now using artificial intelligence, which can tell when a shopper fails to scan an item. If the customer fails to resolve the issue, they get the dreaded red light at the self-checkout and a call for customer service help. Love them or hate them, that may be where self-checkout evolves next. Was that not predictable?
I would personally like them to go away.
Oh my God. Like, I know a lot of people get really hateful about them just for the fact that they take away jobs from others.
Right.
And I understand that argument. I'm sitting here going, that's not even my problem.
Right.
It's just a really crap solution.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if you're buying a couple items, I don't really have a problem with it. Like, I find it interesting the number of retailers that, like, just recently received and have deployed self-checkouts. And I wonder how fast they're going to rip them out. Like, didn't you know already? Because, like, our local Sheets in West Virginia have just gotten self-checkout. Just gotten it. And it's like,
Just gonna lie.
You want to cut your staff, because that was the first thing we saw when the self-checkouts went in, staff went down.
Right.
So now you have staff basically deployed all over the store, and if you need to buy a behind-the-counter item like cigarettes, or want someone to check you out, manually, you have to wait.
Right.
Because there's no telling where they are, what they are doing. They are trying to stock coffee. They are trying to cook food. They are trying to do everything. And they're running around like crazy. Because those stores that were about 4 to 5 people are now running with about 3.
Exactly.
And that food service takes at least 2.
Yes.
At least 2 people. Right. So yeah, it's like I'm not a thieving person. I've literally never stolen from a store. Like, dead serious. I have never shoplifted. But even I'm sitting here going, could you make it easier? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you
It's
know,
insane. It's insane. I don't like them. I really don't like them when I have a large order. It takes forever and it's stupid.
yeah, I'm not the most efficient at this, nor is this the most efficient equipment to do this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, again, a couple of items, a handful of items, even one of those little, hand
Right.
baskets.
Right.
The self-checkout's not bad. You fill up a cart and it's like, oh, for God's sakes.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's bad enough at the original pioneer of this, so it feels,
Right.
Sam's Club.
Right.
It's bad enough there. And then
Mhm.
you have to go through the cattle corral, at
Mhm.
least at like Sam's Club, the cattle corral, so someone
Right.
can glance at your receipt and see if that looks reasonable.
Right.
More so paying attention you don't have any big ticket items that, like you don't have
Right.
a 75-inch, television
Right.
and like a $25 receipt.
Right.
Like, seriously, you tried that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but that seems to be like all they're doing. Like, they're not gonna catch, nor
Right.
do they have time
Right.
to catch every single little
Right.
item.
Right.
Like, you cannot look at that receipt and do anything but go, that's probably about right.
Right.
That's a very full cart full, that's a cart full of groceries.
Mhm.
It was $195.
Right.
That seems reasonable.
Right.
That's a reasonable number.
Right.
So if they didn't pay for everything, they paid for enough.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's got to be the running theory, because they cannot be sitting there looking at that list and that quickly, mere minute, like minute, 2 minutes,
Mhm.
that they're looking there. And most of what I've noticed they paid attention to is the undercart items, the things you forget to scan, that everyone forgets to scan.
Mhm.
That I've almost walked out without, scanning before. But again, that big giant sign in every fucking retailer, check under your cart, does its job.
Exactly.
Does its job, at least for me.
Right.
It may be the last item I scan,
Right.
but it works well.
Right.
Because I've had a few moments where it's like I look over and I see the sign and it's like, oh shit, I got water.
Right.
Click. But no, I just who didn't see this coming?
Right.
Like, and the original theory, someone had to have sat there.
Right.
And since our shrink's going to go up, right?
Mhm.
Retail theft's going to go up with this, right?
Right.
And I'm sure someone went, but cost adjusted for not hiring employees,
Right.
we can tolerate this much.
Right.
Like, if we cut staffing by 20 people,
Right.
the store can absorb, say,
Right.
20 times 24,000
Right.
per year in additional loss that we were going to have anyway, because people shoplift all the time anyway.
Right.
We can take an increase of this. So they've had to go not only above that,
Right.
they have had to go significantly above that for
Right.
them to be sitting here going, no, we're not doing that no more.
Exactly.
Nope, this was a bad idea. Nope, this is out of control.
Well, not only that, but that means staffing. Crap. That means staffing ratios have to go up.
Well, see, this is what I'm afraid of, is because typically when employers find a way to reduce their overall cost,
Right.
they tend to be reluctant to
Right.
push costs back up. They tend to overtax existing workers.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're going to see is they're going to expect to be able to hold staffing levels where they are,
Mm-hmm.
and get like 5, 6, 7 people on cash rate, like, and talking about like a Walmart sized business, 5, 6, 7 people on cash registers.
Right.
In addition to what they're already doing.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So, they got the AI voice with the accent, Brenda. LOL. LOL, Shannon. Accents make everything better. Yes.
Yes. Yes. And it gets commercials done. Like that's the end. That's an end of road. We've got to get this done. I need breaks.
Yep.
All
Because
right.
Like, I will say that having made a couple of our commercials, it takes time. You'd think putting words in front of you and read them would be easy, but
not really.
And it gets worse the more times you screw it up.
I know. And even worse, dubbing it and linking it to images. Like there's 150 other things that go into it.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah.
All right. So am I the asshole?
I
haven't read it. I picked it at random.
Okay, because I've got a perfect one for you.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
All right, I'll take yours. I'm going to laugh at the same one. Nope, not the same one. All right. Am I the asshole for starting an argument with my son on why he was afraid to come out? Am I the asshole for being hurt and upset that my son was afraid to tell me he was gay? My youngest boy, Trevor, 16 male, finally told me he was gay yesterday on his birthday. He came home from school holding his boyfriend, George's, hand and just announced it. I was a little surprised because earlier last week I asked if George was his boyfriend, and he kind of just shut down on me and just kept repeating that he wasn't a the inappropriate F word for gay. I just gave him a hug and told him I loved him. Then his brothers and his mother took their turns getting their hugs in. I asked him later what changed and why he reacted like he did when I asked, and he tells me he was afraid. But me asking and then not making a fuss made him feel safe. I was confused because, as far as I know, I've never said anything explicitly homophobic, though I don't think I've been super supportive of anything either, to be fair. I asked why he was so scared, and he tells me because I'm such a gruff country guy and that we went to church every Sunday and how we're farmers. Where we live, how I'd sometimes laugh at granddad's jokes about girly boys. It hurt me to hear him say that, to think I wouldn't love him. I told him as much, and he gets mad and says it's not about me, it's about how he feels. I tell him I know that, but that doesn't mean it doesn't sting. He tells me I should just be glad he wasn't afraid to tell me now and that I was overreacting. He stormed off upset. My wife says I should just take the win and leave it at that and not to worry about it. And not to worry about before. Am I the asshole?
Yes. And here's why. You're the asshole for not understanding that this is a very emotional time. I really wish that some parents would treat coming out the same way as their daughter getting periods.
Okay.
Instead of going, but what do you, and it's like, no, don't go back, go forward. See that they're emotionally vulnerable at that time. See that it's like not a time to debate, well, why didn't you tell us sooner? It's a better debate to be, okay, how can we embrace you? What do you need? These are your new rules, like no boys in your bedroom. If your sister can't have boys in the bedroom, you can't either.
Okay.
What's your view?
I think I have to go with everyone shitty here.
Okay.
I understand both sides of this one.
Right.
And I get it. OP, I think it is great that you were supportive of your son. I do think you were you probably, if you already had suspicion, maybe should have invested some time, effort, and resources in finding out how to be supportive. And instead of putting these questions on your child, put them on yourself to find answers to. Like, understand the coming out process and why.
Right.
As for Trevor,
Right.
I think you're struggling with an imperfect win.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're sitting here and like your dad is really trying to understand. Which comparatively for many parents, it's understand what being gay is, understand how this happened. You know what I mean? Like, that's where many a parent has started. Especially dads. What did I do wrong? What did your mother do wrong? What did we do wrong? How did this happen?
Right.
You got to win here. They're like, okay, cool, you're gay. But just like wanted to understand why you didn't feel comfortable.
Right.
And I understand the frustration with that, and I don't think you're wrong that, like, no, this is about you, not him.
Right.
I do think, though, it's a moment worth, like, accepting you got to win here.
Right.
Imperfect win. It wasn't a Hallmark moment win.
Right.
But as far as coming out to your dad goes, that's a win. That's a win.
Yeah.
It's a win.
Exactly.
So I think that was a moment of, like, indulge it a little. Versus trying to shut it down.
Right.
Especially like like your lady doth protest too much kind of pisses me off.
Right. Like, take your win.
Take your win, though.
Right.
Like,
and I don't care where you're at, just because you're in Alabama. Right.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So the poll is up. It is everyone's shitty. Yes, no, and you're a dill pickle.
All right. So moving on to dating advice, getting turned off by a guy with no job, money, or ambition. Is it wrong? So I've been seeing this guy for 2 months, maybe. He's in his 30s. We match on many levels, interest-wise, intellectually, physically. But not only has he no job whatsoever, he is still finishing college. After 10 years, he still hasn't finished it, and with a useless degree at that, humanities, no offense to anyone. He has a lot of free time, but doesn't even work at a side job and gets triggered when I ask him about his future regarding career. He lives with his parents, which is not something in and of itself to be ashamed of, if he actually contributed to the household financially. He never even talks about what he would like to do, so it seems he has no ambition and basically never worked a day in his life. I am no gold digger, but this just seems like a recipe for disaster. I'm looking for a long-term partner, a husband, and I don't want somebody just to play around. Funny thing is he wants those things too, but how will he provide in any way? Is this something I should be more compassionate and understanding about, or should I just end it with him? If I should end it, should I tell him the real reason, or is it pointless?
Run. Peter Pan syndrome.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's potential that maybe you're harshly, that OP is harshly judging and
Right.
like kind of, spotlighting specifically the problems without necessarily the context.
Right.
Because I mean, it sounds like it either breaks down into you're dead on and this is, Peter Pan syndrome. They're never going to grow up.
Right.
So it is a disaster waiting to happen. You're going to inherit a child as a partner, and you're basically good luck with that.
Exactly.
Option 2, however,
Right.
I have known people that really did struggle to like, go through college. They changed majors a lot. They couldn't really, figure out what they wanted to do. And didn't really have a adult plan yet, even at 30. That have gone on to actually, be very productive, hardworking members of society. So I don't necessarily want to say that like his situation in his 30s is inherently a bad thing.
Right.
Sometimes college is the thing your parents force you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like you went in with no clue what you wanted to be when you grew up. And so you went through a decade of college with still no clue what you wanted to be when you grew up. But hey, they keep paying, they keep letting you live at home, and they don't give you grief.
Right, and I get that, but there should be some level of ambition. One of these days, I'm going to own my own business. One of these days, I'm going to do this. One of these days, I plan to work for a lawyer's office. One of these days, I plan to go and work in the Peace Corps. There should be some end goal here. Professional college student is not one of them.
Why not?
No.
Why can't professional college student be a goal? Why? Why? Do you know how many classes I would take?
I
if
get
professional college student were an occupation?
Right.
Oh my God. No, but I do agree. I think professional college student is not a life goal. It is not a career. Right. But I do think for a lot of people, they get kind of stuck trying to finish a degree.
Right.
And do kind of have this like because I did have a friend who literally got told by the federal government, you have to graduate with something or you're never getting financial aid again.
Right.
Like pick a major, any major.
Right.
And graduate with it. And we will continue giving you student aid. But you've been here too long. You're exhausting.
Right.
You have to get a degree.
Right.
Had great grades, had jumped majors so many times.
Mm-hmm.
So many times.
Right.
And I found it interesting is what they actually ended up doing was something they could have done.
Right.
With like vocational technical
right
after high school. Is where they have ultimately ended up. And I just had this moment of like, so what was that 9 years about? And the degree that they eventually got, which again, I don't want to call it a useless degree, but it's one of those degrees where it's like you either teach the subject,
right,
or what do you do with it? Like, unless you're going to teach or you're going to write a book,
right,
there's not a lot of jobs that require this. Like, it's not a high job indexed field. Again, I don't want to call it a useless degree. It isn't. All degrees are useful. I don't care what it's in. It's a useful degree.
Right.
You will have learned a lot. If nothing else, you're a great writer at this point. Because the less direct field application it has for employment, the more time you have spent writing, I will guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
So, in and of itself, it's not necessarily a useless degree.
Right.
But I have found a lot of people ended up having to get pushed out of the nest in order to go a totally different direction than anything they've done.
Right.
Because for some people, it's their parents made them go to college, that you're getting a college degree. And so they went, okay.
Right. But
you know
he's
what I mean?
Still at bachelor level. 4 years. He's now took 10 years.
Yeah.
And still going. No. Off. There's a lovely song called No Scrubs, and there's a reason that was a hit.
Yeah. But it's not necessarily a scrub thing. I think to be in to stay in a college,
right,
for 10 years, you're not failing classes. You're intellectually capable.
Mm-hmm.
You're just having a real hard time finding a fit because you didn't have one when you went in. You got dumped there. Again, I've known more than a couple of people that have done like the forever college student plan, or so it felt like at the time. Like, you're 35 years old.
Right.
Get out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's because I have one friend, it took like 9 years to get the first bachelor's degree. I have another friend that, like, oh my God, like 3 bachelor's degrees and 2 masters, and none of it's related. And literally got to a point that it actually became a post-college problem. Because trying to find employment with those degrees. Right. It was a moment of like the valuations of the different degrees. It's like, well, great, you're skilled, you're degreed for this job, but that other degree you have could land you a more lucrative position. You're afraid you're going to take this job until something opens up, and you'll be gone in like 6 months.
Right, which is a well thought out idea. However, speaking of someone who has over degreed himself, you got to get focus. You've got to have focus.
Now, Brenda, I have a question for. Cousin had 3 almost degrees. He'd switch right before he had enough to get it. Aunt and uncle said enough, finish something. He ended up managing a redneck strip club. But was it a well-managed redneck strip club? I'm just curious, because I have noticed that people who do this tend to be really good at whatever they go on to do.
Right.
No, it was not. Oh, no. He was a failure to launch. Okay, got it. Peter Pan syndrome.
Peter Pan syndrome, it is an epidemic.
Now, see, both of the people the 2 people that I've just talked about, let me put it that way without going through the list, because I know a few. But the 2 people in particular, the one that took 9 years to get a degree and then went a totally different direction career-wise, really great at their job. Phenomenal at their job. Again, could have gotten that straight out of high school within like a year or 2.
Right.
But 9+ years later, because it was 9 years to get the degree,
right?
Then to go spend 2 years getting the thing, the certificate they would have needed after high school to go actually do the job they ended up doing. So there was even more education. Now, the other person, like, they went through a period of underemployment, but really good at their underemployment. Like, I mean, it was horribly underemployed. But then have gone on and, like, they're kicking ass.
Right.
Once they finally got the professional foot in the door, that someone gave them a shot and didn't think that, well, what the hell were you doing?
Right.
What is the career path you're on? Because I can't tell by your degrees.
Right.
But they've actually found something, I think, combined like 2 or 3 of them, and they're doing phenomenally.
And that's great. But this dude obviously isn't. Sorry.
Well, again, but if I were looking at those 2 people at the exact same point where they're like this close to graduation, I remember actively having the thought of, like, you're not going to amount to anything. I'm sorry if either of y'all are watching. There was a moment I had doubts too, okay? Because I was sitting there looking at it like, y'all are just lazy. And it's like, no, it's not that. I actually had to incorporate the idea that y'all are doing a lot of fucking writing for someone who's lazy.
Right.
You're spending a lot of time researching. You're spending a lot of time in class.
Right.
Because they didn't miss class. They didn't do that. So I guess you have to kind of judge by how well he's doing with the education. Would be my commentary. Like, if he's also crap at that, and it's like 10 years of C's, I think you got your answer in that.
Yeah, which is my answer. No scrubs.
All right, so back to Brenda's cousin. Big Mama's boy never grew up. All his wives would agree. Ooh, okay. All righty.
Yeah. You know, and Peter Pan syndrome is never a good quality for anyone to deal with. You know, get in, get out, get your degree, stop wasting loan money that we don't have to pay off. And if you aren't going to use the degree, find one that you do want to use.
Exactly.
All right. So we do have one more story, and it's actually a congratulations.
Aw.
West Virginia Pride opened up its new Rainbow Center today.
Yay!
Yay.
Yes. So located in Charleston. We're very happy to see that occur. Guys, you may hear a sound difference. I'm about to lose my headset.
Right.
But no, very exciting.
Yes. Apparently Elements Credit Union is assisting in this. It looks like a nice, clean community area. And it looks like it's going to do really well for the community. It's a place for them to hold education, trainings, board meetings, getting everything put together.
Oh, yes. Very important.
Right.
Like space.
Yeah.
The craziest thing you end up learning that you need for any like kind of nonprofit, but especially for LGBTQ plus ones.
Right.
Space.
Right.
Like, oh my God. Because there comes a point doing this in someone's garage, doing it in someone's living room, just ain't gonna cut it.
Right.
Like, you have too many people and too much to do.
Right.
So very excited for them. They've done some really great stuff in West Virginia.
Right.
They're always at, I think, almost all the prides.
They try to be.
Yeah.
If you're in Parkersburg, I see the they're needing board members. Yeah, and that can be very good. But no, this space looks like it's going to serve them well. We're very happy that we've made this step.
Yay!
Yay!
Congratulations.
Yes. All right, so let's go see the poll. Ooh, this is a first.
Oh, what do we got?
Your dill pickle.
Oh, we are overwhelmingly a dill pickle?
We are 100% a dill pickle.
Oh,
like,
no.
you're so dill, you're at the base of a sandwich. Dill.
Okay. Well, I guess that's the dealio then.
Exactly. All right. So, with that, we hope you guys enjoyed the show. Baristas, you have a station meeting tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock. I will post the link in the Patreon. And with that, Vanna, take it away.
All right. So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Charles Shaw, Tracy Van, Caitlin Bell, and Devin. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes. And with that, guys, good night.
Good night.